We like to believe that we are the apex of Earth's evolutionary story. That we, Homo sapiens, are the final chapter in a long, messy saga of life crawling out of the sea, climbing trees, building tools, and eventually, constructing cities, launching rockets, and contemplating the stars. But what if that narrative, so deeply ingrained in our collective psyche, is not just incomplete, but fundamentally wrong? There is a theory, long buried and frequently dismissed, that suggests humanity is not the first intelligent species to dominate this planet. Not by a long shot. According to this view, long before the first humans walked upright, long before any historical civilization scratched symbols into stone, another race ruled the surface of Earth. And when their time ended, they didn't vanish. They simply moved underground. This isn't science fiction. It's a hypothesis supported by fragmented myths, unexplained archaeological anomalies, and a trail of ancient accounts that all seem to echo the same whisper: we are not alone here, and we never were. Let's begin with what cultures across the globe have always hinted at but rarely understood in modern terms. From the Nagas of India, serpentine beings said to live in vast underground kingdoms, to the Hopis ant people, who reportedly sheltered humans beneath the earth during a great global cataclysm, the theme is surprisingly consistent: a race of beings that existed before humans, driven underground either by necessity or design. These are not mere legends. They are persistent, detailed, and eerily similar across time and geography. Why would so many civilizations, isolated from one another by oceans and centuries, concoct the same idea, that something lives beneath the surface, that the inner world is not just molten rock, but habitable, structured, and possibly intelligent? Modern science scoffs at the idea of a hollow or habitable Earth. Geology tells us the mantle is hot, dense, and entirely inhospitable. But these scientific conclusions are based on assumptions and indirect data. No human has drilled beyond a few kilometers into the Earth. The deepest borehole ever created only scratched the surface relative to the planet's full radius. And what it revealed was not clarity, but more mystery: inexplicable temperature fluctuations, bizarre acoustic phenomena, and changes in rock density that defy conventional models. So the door remains ajar. Consider this: if a race of beings had evolved long before us, tens or even hundreds of millions of years prior, and had achieved a level of technological sophistication far beyond our own, what would they do when facing extinction on the surface? Whether due to cosmic impacts, climate upheaval, or a war of unimaginable scale, the solution would have been clear: retreat below. Not as a regression, but as a safeguard. A strategic withdrawal. And if they had the capability to alter matter, manipulate gravity, and shift through dimensions, technologies we're only beginning to imagine, they could have built underground sanctuaries undetectable to our most advanced sensors. Entire ecosystems could be sustained beneath tectonic layers, in hidden chambers beyond our perception, masked by frequency barriers or dimensional shielding. This might explain why so many ancient structures, pyramids, megalithic temples, and underground tunnels, seem inexplicably aligned with star systems or cosmic cycles. Perhaps these weren't tombs or temples as we've assumed, but interfaces, gateways between our surface world and a deeper, older network that lies just beneath. And if these beings still exist, if they have evolved, adapted, or even transcended physical form, then they may be observing us now. Not from faraway galaxies, but from just beneath our feet. Governments around the world have long shown strange behavior regarding deep Earth exploration. From restricted access to vast cave systems, to mysterious disappearances of spelunkers and researchers, there is a pattern of silence and redirection. Could it be that the powers that be know more than they admit? That the inner world is not just a geological curiosity, but a geopolitical secret? Even in modern times, there are accounts, often dismissed or buried, of underground beings encountered in deep caverns. Miners, soldiers, and explorers have spoken of figures that vanish into walls, glowing eyes in total darkness, and voices speaking in languages that bypass the ear and go straight into the mind. Most of these testimonies never reach the public, and when they do, they're ridiculed out of existence. But the consistency of the accounts, the emotional weight behind the eyes of the people who share them, that's harder to dismiss. If these ancient beings, let's call them the first, are truly still here, then the natural question is, why haven't they made themselves known? Why the secrecy? The answer may lie not in fear, but in a silent truce, a mutually agreed detachment between two species sharing the same planet, yet walking two very different paths. The first are not enemies, nor are they necessarily allies. They are survivors. According to esoteric sources and suppressed historical texts, there was a time, eons ago, when their presence was dominant, open, visible, unquestioned. The Earth was theirs, its energy systems calibrated to their biology, its magnetic rhythms tuned to their consciousness. They shaped reality with sound, commanded matter with intention, and lived in harmony with the planet in a way that seems like magic to us now. But then something happened. A rupture. Whether from a war among themselves or the arrival of a disruptive outside force, possibly even early humans, something triggered a massive retreat. Some say it was a betrayal, others whisper of cosmic law violations, and a few believe that it was simply time for a new cycle, a new species to take the surface. Either way, they descended, and the Earth we now know was reshaped in their absence. Yet they did not leave. They simply moved out of phase, just beyond our perception, deep within the Earth, or hidden behind veils of dimensional insulation. And from there they watched. There's a reason many of Earth's most sacred sites, Mount Shasta, the Himalayas, the Amazon, Antarctica, are steeped in legends of underground beings, light cities, and portals. These aren't the tales of children. They are ancient warnings and encrypted memories. What if these locations are access points? Thin spots in the veil between our surface and their underworld sanctuaries? It's not difficult to believe, especially when we observe the patterns, seismic activity that defies explanation, magnetic anomalies, or the sudden establishment of military zones in remote cave systems with no clear public rationale. And why, in the age of satellite imaging and global exploration, are so many vast underground systems left completely unmapped, even actively hidden? There may be a deal, not made by governments, but encoded into the planet's energetic field. We stay above. They remain below. And as long as that boundary is respected, balance holds. But what if we're violating that agreement without realizing it? Every time we drill deeper, dig further, build faster, we may be sending ripples into a domain not meant for us. Our technology is noisy, disruptive, and increasingly invasive. If the first have been patient all this time, their patience may not be infinite. There is also a possibility, far more unsettling, that we were never meant to take over the planet in the first place. That our rise was not a natural evolutionary process but the result of intervention. We may be the ones who disrupted the balance long ago. Colonizers, seated here by forces unknown, who overthrew or displaced the true caretakers of this world. If that's the case, then it is not the first who are hiding, it is we who are being tolerated, watched, measured, evaluated. Think about how we treat creatures in a zoo or a reserve. We don't make contact. We observe, track, document, and intervene only when absolutely necessary. Could we be the species in the reserve, and they are the unseen rangers? The psychological implications are massive. Everything we believe about human primacy, divine origin, and evolutionary supremacy begins to unravel. It would mean that we are the younger race, not the elder. That we are the ones living on borrowed land, watched from below, and allowed to thrive. For now. But this may not be a tale of doom. It could be a quiet call to humility. To realign ourselves with the earth, to reduce the noise, to remember the deeper currents that once guided all life. Perhaps the first are waiting, not to destroy, but to reveal. Perhaps there will be a time, soon, when the surface and the inner world converge once again. Maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for us to grow up. Because the moment we stop drilling and start listening, stop shouting and start feeling, stop dominating and start remembering, we might hear them. And when that day comes, we'll finally ask the right question. Not are we alone? But, are we ready to meet those who never left?